thing to watch. Now let's talk about our villains. This guy's a jerk. And I loved it. I was like, you need that main character that's just there to have that face, that stupid face the whole time. And you love to hate this guy. He's a jerk. A lot of our other villains aren't nearly as, boring as he is, but, they all have this really cool dynamic to them. Gregory's pretty much evil from the get-go, but, we'll get to that in a minute. But Carl up there, he's got this really, really unique relationship with Silvaria, who's a Valkyria, we'll get to in a second. Like Jaeger's just there to goof around. He's like, whatevs. It's a war, I'm just gonna hang out over here. Now Silvaria's important because she's our first look at the Valkyria side of things. So we're really drawing from the legend here, so it's important. She's pretty much awesome, though. She takes down anything and anyone. She's a boss. You can really get behind her character. But she's not just there to plow through the enemy and be stupidly loyal to Maximilian. She's a very heartfelt backstory that you're I can understand why you relate to Maximilian, because he was the only one who reached out to you when you were all by yourself. Another great surprise here. The show takes the time to think through some of the tactics the characters are going to use. It's not just going to be the good guys battle stuff and win. It's hey, let's think a little bit. The enemy's in a state of disorder. So let's lure them out so we can make sure everyone gets evacuated. Good thought. Or, hey, maybe we shouldn't chase the enemy because we just don't have the manpower to do that. More people will die that way. Or, hey, we need to surprise the enemies. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to wait until the fog comes out. I noticed this because I'm a biology student and the swallows flying at certain times tell me so. We wait for the fog. A Sara pilots that tank. We ride across the river to surprise the enemy, and bam, they're I don't even know what just happened. And I'm man, you just use tactics. That's brilliant. Good to go. Good surprise number 2, these characters actually act realistically. They're not gung-ho to be in war, they're kind of terrified. They're militia members, they aren't even full-fledged military people. So they're pretty terrified on these stealth missions. They grow together, they learn together. They're fighting together, so they really have to become a cohesive group. It doesn't happen overnight, There's an encouragement there. And there's Faldio being a bro. Look at that. He's Welkin, he's the man, believe in him. Come on now. And here we go again with more realism. It doesn't always work out for our good guys. They get backed into corners. They get shot. It's realistic, and it was fun to watch. Another great thing is these characters are real people. They have real goals, real ambitions outside of being militia soldiers. They want to be architects and biologists and bakers and real people. And behind all the grit, we also have a whole mess of fun. At one point, Squad 7's being interviewed, and then everybody on the team is just goofing around. They're we want our picture taken. Too bad we only have a radio and can't actually take their picture. Or I like veggies because that makes sense. Or I used to be a bar singer. We're learning about our characters as we go. And Isara's the only one who answers the questions normally because she's awesome like that. And in the end, it all culminates in a giant brawl because Squad 1 is why didn't we get interviewed? And Squad 7's because we're better than you are. And all you really need to know is that you kind of feel like her, but what the takeaway is that Isara's just awesome. And you've learned a lot about our characters and had a whole mess of fun. Great surprise. Again, we deviate from the war plot for purpose. At one point, we end up at a Valkyria temple, and that's an important plot point because we're learning more about the legends we set up in the beginning. It's not a forgotten plot point, it's reinforced. Or, oh no, Lucy and Woken are trapped in a cabin. This is clearly that dumb, cheesy romance episode. And while they do learn about each other and solidify the well-done romance, yeah, not so much. It turns into this survival episode where this guy's got a grenade, and he's from the Imperial Army, and they actually have to defend themselves. Intense. And then we get to the non-black and white feel of the show. This guy is the leader of the Gallian army. We're supposed to be rooting for this side, and he is a schmuck. I'm I can't get behind you in the slightest. You're such a jerk. Or the fact that the Gallian army keeps Darksons in camps. This guy from the Gallian army is wait, we don't imprison the students or the children of the Darkson? Yeah, we really should do that. Because they're worthless people. They should all just be in camps. And you're I'm supposed to be rooting for this side. What's going on? Or when we watch the enemy side, at one point Maximilian's about to be assassinated. And you're no one cares. But his subordinates care, and you can't help but care while watching them as they plow through fields to try and save him. You're yeah, go! I'm rooting for the bad guys, all right. Does that make sense? And gets gritty. These are a bunch of Darkson people held in a camp, and Gregor's just like, guess what? I'm going to murder all of you. Like, that's it. He just blows them all up with missiles and leaves them there. And you're like, oh gosh, come on now. Or like all these characters we really love, they don't stay happy people. They get taken down a notch, but it's because we care so much. It's because they've been built up in us so much that it hurts so much when they're taken down. Like, you have the same emotional feelings they have when they're really torn apart. So in the end, we're really like rooting for Squad 7, and it's a great feeling when they fight together, when they work together, when they come together. You want them to win. And in this shot, you know how you know we're ready to party? You know how we know? Because Susie's got a gun! Damn straight, Susie, you kick it up a notch. So you guys are really going to want to stick around to see how this entire thing plays out. So, guys, join the ride. It's great. Between the good characterization, the well-done plotting, the actually well-done romance, there's really just something for everyone in here. And you're going to have a great time. Yes, even you, Sylvaris. Smile a little bit, please. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
2001. It was over a decade ago. And a lot of anime has come and gone since then. Some of you may remember 2001 as the year that brought us Fan Thread, or Fruits Basket, or Mahou Manic, or Noir. But somewhat fewer people, I think, remember a show called Figure 17. Now, the subtitle up there is Tsubasa and Hikaru. So when you line the show up, you can pretty quickly deduce that it's going to focus a lot on these two grade school-looking girls who spend the opening credits chilling about around a bunch of rural areas, who here like slice-of-life anime. Anyone? Woo? Anyway, we also get some shots of this robot-looking show, so that's a little unusual. And what happens when the show actually starts? Well, for the first minute, we get some close shots of some hideous monster just wrecking the interior of this spaceship. And we like sci-fi anime. Woo! Too bad, because we're going to where we'll spend the entire second minute slowly panning over scenery. Now, this is indicative of a couple of things about the show. First, it puts a lot of effort into its backgrounds. A lot. This isn't to say that other anime don't do good work with their own backgrounds, most of them do, but every background in Figure 17 looks like a beautiful watercolor painting. Even, and often especially, the ones that they just use as establishing shots that are only on screen for like 2 seconds. Like this one. Or this one. Like, wow, guys. Secondly, as a show with 45-minute episodes, the show is not afraid to spend as much time as it thinks it needs to set the scene. Immersion is the name of the game here, and you can expect that before anything really important goes down, Figure 17 plans to make sure that you've been following the protagonists around for long enough that you understand where they're coming from. And we start getting introduced to these protagonists in the third minute of the show here, starting with one of our main characters, Tsubasa Shina. Tsubasa is a pretty normal but shy 10-year-old girl. Her mother passed away about a year ago, and leaving her in the sole care of her father, Hideo. And one sometimes gets the feeling that he doesn't have this whole parenting thing quite figured out. He's a nice guy and a hard worker, and Tsubasa loves him anyway. After his wife passed away, Hideo took stock of his life and decided that what he really wanted to do was bake. So a couple of months ago, he and Tsubasa left Tokyo and moved to a dairy farm in the middle of Hokkaido, where they lived with the farm owners and other staff who provide a friendly but slightly awkward sort of extended family. There's no one really for Tsubasa to relate to. But she does commute by bus to the local grade school, where she coexists with her classmates, but doesn't really get to know any of them either. But I'd like to take a moment here to recognize their teacher, Miss Hibino. Now, when I was first watching the show, something about Miss Hibino felt a little unusual, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But after a while, I realized that it is the fact that she is completely normal. If being normal doesn't sound unusual, try to think of the last teacher you saw in any anime who was a secondary character and didn't have some kind of weird personality. It's gotten to the point where you'd rather expect the teacher in your anime to be lazy, or childish, or